Calm down, have fun. There was a ton of people there. That was another left-wing lie.
Yeah.
Right? They were focused on bleachers that were right next to where we were sitting.
I love the way the president handled it, because, Congressman, he put out a tweet. He writes, "A huge thank you to all the No Kings protesters yesterday. I was very concerned a king was trying to take my place. But thanks to your tireless efforts, I am still your president." Great job, all. President had fun with that. Congressman, it's a pleasure to see you, and we so appreciate.
Pretty calm down, have.
Reads fake post. Oh, is this a fake? Nice.
We'd all love it if they went the way of the dodo bird, if you catch my drift. But the important takeaway from today is this: communists.
This video is AI generated.
Have no friends. Cat's out of the bag. Cat's out of the bag, folks. Being part of a Karl Marx Mental Health Peer Alliance, or whatever they call their gay little groups, that's not friendship, that's a cult. We've known it for years, folks. Real friends challenge your nonsense. They say, hey, you're ugly, but I like you. That's friendship 101. The corrupt Democrat.
Taste my pussy on your boyfriend's lips because he's cheating on you with me. Is this a feminism? R/pop culture chat does not approve of Sabrina Carpenter's supposed upcoming album cover. Jesus Christ. Wait, hold on. Is that like the name of a song? Okay, there's nothing not safe for work on this. It's a lyric implication. Her whole thing is being overly sexual. Ladies, I have one thing to say. Stand up. It's giving Terry Richardson photo shoot in the worst way. It always amazes me when celebrities post photos / album covers / whatever that have to go through whole teams of people. Like, how did no one not anticipate that this was not going to be well received? I know her brand is sex, but this is incredibly degrading. Not to dive back into the whole red pill sex, all that bullshit or whatever, but like, it's so funny because every woman knows this, and every man knows this too, that like traditional gender sex roles or whatever are fun for like 99% of the population to play with and to play into, and you will never ever ever be able to successfully build a social movement where you're pretending that it's not. It's so stupid that it's like, this is degrading. I'm not, like, some people like to fuck around with, especially playing into gender roles, during sexual whatever, anything. Doesn't matter how much of a feminist you are, how much of a conservative you are. Like, literally 99% of people like this, but it's funny when people pretend otherwise. But okay. The Trump organization is releasing a Trump mobile smartphone. Oh boy.
You won't?
I had trained my dog to fuck me, even though she was a girl. So that was like a weird.
Motherfuckers be having that dog in them, but it's a poodle wolf. Motherfuckers be having that.
Okay.
BBC said I should keep it PG. BBC, I wish I had it in me. There's a double meaning if you dig deep. BBC.
What is, I don't, this is Sabrina Carpenter again, right? How old is this? June 15th, 2025. Did this just happen like yesterday, or is this like an older? Last year. All of her songs are cringy innuendo. That's her entire shtick. Hasn't it been pop music for a long time? Is like kind of sexual innuendo and all that bullshit? No? Check this out. Jesus Christ. Wait, how old? This person looks like they're like 15. How old is she? Sabrina Carpenter. Age. Oh, 26. Well, ugh, born in 1999. 26 years old. What the fuck? Wait, what? That must... Did the AI fuck the math up there? Oh, Jesus. She does an outro per location. Okay, I don't care. What the fuck is this? Trump Mobile. The fuck? The Trump Organization on Monday unveiled a mobile phone plan and a $499 smartphone that is set to launch in September. The new service, Trump Mobile, will offer a $47.45 per month plan that includes unlimited talk, text, and data, as well as roadside assistance and a telehealth and pharmacy benefit, according to its website. The company owned by President Donald Trump also announced it will sell a T1 smartphone, which appears to feature a gold-colored metal case etched with an American flag. What? How many deep state believers in government, Big Brother, paranoid conservatives will instantly jump to buy a cell phone made by the government? Yeah. Well,
good morning, everyone. It's great to have everyone back here on Trump Tower on this very fateful day, 10 years later. A lot has happened since then, and we're here to announce something pretty special. We've been working for a long time trying to deliver for the American people, for doing something unique for people who'd been underserved. And today we're here to introduce Trump Mobile. We've partnered with some of the greatest people in the industry to make sure that real Americans can get true value from their mobile carriers. A big part of what we've done right now in the world has been focused on technology for people who've been underserved, whether that's been in crypto or anything else. But one of the places where we felt there was lackluster performance was in the mobile industry. And so with Trump Mobile, we're going to be introducing an entire package of products that people can come, they can get telemedicine on their phone for one flat monthly fee, roadside assistance in their cars, unlimited texting to 100 countries around the world. And we've partnered with some of the best to really bring something unique to the American people. So I think what I'll do is let the team really speak for this, because they've probably forgotten more about mobile technology than I'll ever actually know. And with that, I'm going to introduce Pat.
Hi, I'm Pat O'Brien. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. First off, I want to really thank Don and Eric for all the help they've given us as we've put this program together. And I think Don said it best. When we got together, the whole point of this is to really make sure that the American people are getting a good value from their wireless service. I'm really here to talk about the fact that our executive management team has over 120 years of experience in the mobile industry. I'm going to bring a guy up here in a little bit by the name of Don Hendrickson that's been in it since there was things called pagers, and a lot of you people might not know what those are, but he used to sell a lot of them. From the standpoint of the products themselves and what we're going to be providing, we're not only going to be doing wireless service, we are going to be doing phones that we are going to build in America. Our call center is based in America, and we're focusing on really making...
Wait, why did he say in the beginning we've been helping underserved communities, especially in markets like, he said crypto? What the fuck has Trump coin done for underserved communities? What?
Making these programs great for American people so that we can actually deliver something to them that they normally don't get, and that's service with a value. So as you see our plans, you're going to notice that there's a lot of things, as Donald pointed out, that are programs in there designed for the consumer to basically be in a situation where they get coverage for other things that they're going to use on an everyday basis, because life happens to people. So what I'm going to do is turn it over to Don Hendrickson right now to tell you a little bit about the plans and the in-depth of what they're going to cover.
Thank you, Pat. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Just want to take the opportunity to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing that differentiates Trump Mobile from the rest of the carriers. Today, when you talk about wireless services, everybody thinks unlimited talk, unlimited data, unlimited text. That's great. That's part of the service. That's part of the opportunity. At Trump Mobile, we're going to give our end users a much better experience. We're going to include, as Pat said earlier and Don had said earlier, telemedicine. So this way, if you have an issue or a problem, you use your Trump Mobile phone. You make a call to a doctor that's available to you 24/7, 365. That doctor can write you a prescription. You can take that prescription to CVS, have that prescription filled out, supplied for you, all at no additional cost. This is all part of your Trump Mobile program.
What? Why? What is the? Why would these things ever even be bundled together?
So that's taking care of you. We also take care of your phone by adding into the program protection services, device protection. So if I have an iPhone 11, I have an iPhone 16, I'm going to have coverage because I'm a part of Trump Mobile. That's not an added amount to my monthly bill. It's part of my monthly bill. So those are two very important things: taking care of your phone, taking care of you.
Taking care of it how?
Because I'm a part of Trump Mobile. So if I have an iPhone phone, by all part of your Trump Mobile, filled out, supplied for you, all at no additional cost. This is all part of that doctor can write you supplied for you or view. We also take care of your phone by adding into the program protection services, device protection. So if I have an iPhone 11, I have an iPhone 16.
Device protect, like just like insurance for the phone or whatever? Like everybody already?
I'm going to have coverage because I'm a part of Trump Mobile. That's not an added.
How many times in the last year been asked to sign an NDA? I don't know. Why? What is that question about?
Amount to my monthly bill. It's part of my monthly bill. So those are two very important things: taking care of your phone, taking care of you. We also, through a partnership with Drive America, offer you roadside assistance. So roadside assistance is included in the program, which gives you the opportunity to have your car taken care of as well. So we have your health, we have your phone's health, we have your car's health. So we're taking care of what matters to the American people most, which is getting to work, taking their family out, and doing things that are worthwhile. Now, how are we going to help families? We're going to also offer unlimited calling to over 100 different countries, and those 100 countries are listed clearly across the board, and that opportunity will allow families to stay close together. Whether you're across the sea or you're here, you're going to be able to communicate and talk. So we're super excited to launch this program, super excited for this opportunity. It's going to be amazing. As Pat said, our customer services here in Middle America, we have over 250-seat rep center ready to help consumers with any questions, any situations. Onboarding is simple. You could do bring your own device. If you love your phone, bring it on over. If you hate your phone, we've got phones available. So we'll be able to work with any consumer at any level of their transactional opportunity. So that being said, I'd like to turn it over to my partner, Eric. Eric is in charge of our division, which builds the phones, which, by the way, are going to be made here in the USA. So we'll be employing people for customer service, for remanufacturing of phones, as well as for the opportunity of building our own phone.
What does that mean, you dishonest fuck? You're making the phones in the USA, every single part of it? What processors are there? So it can't be any of like the Snapdragon or the A whatever 13. I don't know what they're up to for the iPhone chips, right? Because those are all made overseas, right? What processors? What is the tech that they're using inside of these phones?
Eric?
Thanks, Don. It's good to be with you. First,
He said remanufacturing. Okay, so they're just final stage of assembly, which is what we already do, which is...
Just want to thank the Trump Organization for the opportunity that we've had. It's been great working with these guys. And, you know, what Don just explained, you know, with this mobile plan, we're going to take care of the user, you know, give them the value. And as we look at it with this brand that we have, we'll be able to put the Trump name with it. You know, just like the Trumps have done everything...
It's like so... I just need to play Expedition 33. I work at a credit union. We just launched a benefits checking account with literally all these benefits rolled in. I think there's an insurance company that bundles these orders together for orgs. Yeah, sure. It's just like also like boring and tired. Like what is this? What are we doing? This is like so cringe. I don't even know what to say, but like obviously, but like everything they've done is cringe. But I think Republicans even acknowledge that it's all cringe. Like,
they do to elevate in the real estate world, in the golf world, the hotel industry, now with the mobile phone industry, you know, take a service that's widely provided and add more to it for the end user with the telemedicine, with the roadside assistance, but also as we make the user...
God, like yesterday I was on my phone and I got into a car accident and I was sitting there and I was informed that it would take 12 hours for a tow truck to come and pick me up and I hadn't taken my Vyvanse yet, but there was a CVS right next to me, and all I could think of was, God, I wish I just had I wish I had a phone with telehealth built into it so that I could go and pick up a prescription from the CVS next to me, but also with built-in roadside assistance so I wouldn't have to sit here for so long at the same time. And then finally, the Trump phone has answered my call. Yeah, like what, who asked for this? What the fuck?
Better. Again, we wouldn't be right if partnering with the Trumps if we weren't making America great as well. And that's why we want to help keep the jobs in America and build phones and create devices and build devices for those end users here in America to produce jobs, produce and secure everybody's vital information. We have so much information these days that transfers through your phone, all that personal information. And why not have control of that from the beginning of when that phone is made? So it's made here with quality control right here in the USA. We're excited
from the beginning where it's made. What do you mean by that, though?
For this opportunity to be able to do that. And we're really excited to partner with the Trumps and be able to bring this to the American people. Don? Or Eric, sorry.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. And on behalf of Don and I, and really everybody in the Trump organization, we have a lot of our employees here today. We couldn't be more excited about this venture. This year has really been...
Is it just a phone, or is it a whole-ass internet provider? Before I go to the website, here's my guess. It's some rebranded Chinese, like China has a ton of random Android phones that it makes. So it's probably that with some custom version of Android running that has a couple of special Trump apps, and then a cell phone plan that is like a piggyback off of another major network provider. Kind of like, oh, fuck, I don't even remember what they used to be called. It's been so long. Like Cricket was like part of Sprint, or, you know, like something. That's my guess. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Like, what is this? What is this information? 256 gigabytes of internal storage with an SD card slot for more? Who uses SD cards on phones anymore? So this is made in America. This is made in America storage. Who's making the hard drive? 12 gigabytes of RAM for the phone. Who's making the RAM? Who made this screen? 50 megapixel camera. Who made that? I'm so curious. 20 watts fast charging? Only 20 watts? I feel like phones can support way faster now. Oh, it's got a... Oh, operating system, Android 15. Plan details. Do we know who are they piggybacking off of? Map and service info. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What map is this? Oh, no. Oh, no. Unlimited talk and text. That's kind of sick if this was 2010. Telehealth and roadside assistance. Maybe it is. They're just trying to like market it to old people, basically. Do old people do telehealth? Read the key features on the first page. Wait, for which part? This looks like a pack of condoms. Am I crazy? Model T1 phone 8002 gold version. 120 hertz refresh rate. What am I looking at? There's no processor listed on the phone specs. Oh, true. Processor and RAM. It's powered by pure American consciousness. I don't even know. Key features. Camera. 5,000 mega amp hour long life camera. Oh, they meant to put battery here. Whatever, dude. How?
A year of technology. Don and I have spent so much of our time in that. We're building the greatest hotels on earth. We're building the greatest golf course on earth. But we're also spending a lot of time in the technology field. Everybody knows what we've done in crypto. I think we've got the greatest projects in crypto, and more are
the greatest projects in crypto. Like how can they say stuff like this with no shame?
Is evolving into various sectors, and but there is kind of a key to that, and that is America, right? I mean, the fact that all your customer service will be done in America. It's going to be done in St. Louis, Missouri. I hope I was allowed to give that out. And making phones in America. It's about time we bring products back to our great country, and it's about time we disrupt this space. And between really the three gentlemen here, again, hundreds of years in the mobile space, they know the world better.
Is this I mix these fuckers up. Is this one of the Trumps? Is this Don or whatever? That's Eric, right? Eric Trump. Oh, no, wait. Don Trump. Which one's the annoying fucker? Is it Don? No, not Don. Eric and... It is Don Trump. Don Trump Jr.? Is that... This is the fucking annoying guy. Okay. I feel like we don't hear from Eric much. Is he a little bit more self-aware? Does he realize how cringe it is? Or... I mean, I guess he's here, so probably not, huh?
Anybody, and we couldn't be more excited about this partnership. So, guys, do an extremely...
Shouldn't the processor make it not require so much RAM? I don't think that will matter much. RAM is just like stuff that you're working on, like in a very, very, very short-term sense.
Years in the mobile space, they know the world better than anybody, and we couldn't be more excited about this partnership. So, guys, do an extremely fun and successful venture to one that's all American, based here in America, with an American family. We're gonna have a lot of fun doing this for years and years to come. So, on behalf of myself, the Trump Organization,
Eric is hardcore in business side crypto, etc. Okay.
Don, obviously, the entire family. Thank you, guys. We look forward to it, and some amazing things to come. There's a lot of things that we're not even mentioning on the stage right now, which we're going to be announcing in the next couple weeks and months, but couldn't be more excited to be doing this with you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Nice. Thank you. Thanks.
Have you watched or listened to any of the orchestra performances done for Expedition 33? No, but everybody keeps telling me to. Give me the best song, and we'll look it up, okay? Speaking of a non-corrupt project, actually. Wait, did you guys see this? Somebody posted this on the subreddit. What's this? Wow. Cute. Very cute. Both the name of the wireless service, the 47 plan. Oh my God. Can I jerk off with it? If you're a real man, you can jerk off with anything. Fucking cringe. Whatever. Okay. What? Final boss theme. Oh my God, it's the guy from The Last of Us. Does use the Demon 5G network? Yes. Okay, sounds cute. What is this?
You've spoken to Zelensky in response to Tucker Carlson criticizing you, saying that you were complicit in the war.
I don't know what Tucker Carlson is saying. Let him go get a television network and say it so that people listen.
And quickly,
Oh.
have you spoken to Zelensky?
Oh, we have already got haters coming out. The Trump Mobile T1 phone looks both bad and impossible. Costs $499, and you can reserve one now with a $100 down payment. Promise that the phone is designed and built in the USA that I absolutely do not believe. A picture that appears to be nearly 100% photoshopped. And a list of specs that don't make a lot of sense together. The existence of a gold version of the phone implies a not gold version, but the Trump Mobile website doesn't say anything more about that. Here are the specs. There's no processor listed, even though there's a section for it on the site, and the processors are pretty important. Even without that, as far as I can tell, there's not a single phone currently on the market that matches these specs. If you find one, tell me about it. Some of them are fairly standard in the non-premium Android world. You can find phones from Asus and other brands with a 6.78-inch screen, matching the T1 subscription, for instance, and 256 gigabytes of storage and a 5,000 milliamp hour battery are both relatively common. Combination of the specs, spec list, and the image bears no resemblance to any phone I could find on the market. Ignoring the obviously and poorly photoshopped picture, though, you can at least begin to get closer to a phone that might be like the T1. The Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra is probably the best case scenario. Similar screen, same storage and RAM, same battery size, runs Android 15 now. Supposedly a combination of Android 15, 5G, and a 3.5mm headphone jack. In many ways, these are opposing specs. Android 15 is generally only available on very recent devices. Many cheap phones still don't support 5G, and almost every phone maker has stopped including headphone jacks with their devices in the last few years. There are a few that have both, but modern phones with a headphone jack are few and far between, and pretty much all made in China. The made in the USA bit, that is the most unlikely thing about the T1. Do you think this will even materialize, like, as a real thing? I wonder if this is still just like a concept. But they say it's shipping in September this year? Do we even have like a proof of concept? Like, have we seen a single... We haven't. No, I know we haven't, because I would have seen it. This is giving me flashbacks to the Escobar phone thing from a few years ago. Huh.
Per capita GDP in Mississippi overtook the UK.
Hey, what's up, guys? MKBHD here.
5 years ago. This is before we knew this guy was a dirty speeder.
All right, story time. So it's 2020. Folding smartphones are all the rage, and there's a bunch of different options now, almost none of which you should probably actually buy. But I mean, we have the Galaxy Z Flip from Samsung, we have the Galaxy Fold, the Moto Razr, and then sort of the rest. You know, everything from the TCL Trifold concept phone to the Royale FlexPi. And you may have seen another.
Whoa, what? I haven't heard of some of these. Wait, that looked crazy. What was that?
Then sort of the rest. You know, everything from the TCL Trifold.
This is crazy. And
concept phone to the Royale FlexPi.
What?
You may have seen another story.
These are Chinese brands. We're barred. Oh.
Story floating around of another folding phone by Escobar. Yeah, that Escobar. Just a little filler in on the Escobar name if you're not familiar. So Pablo Escobar was the Colombian drug lord, ended up being known as basically the wealthiest criminal in history for monopolizing cocaine trade into the United States before, fun fact, he died of a gunshot wound to the head the day before I was born. So, you know, this isn't exactly a positive sentiment around this name, like being known for the killings of police officers and politicians and making Colombia the murder capital of the world. Not the best way to have your name known, but it is a known name. Like, y'all have heard of Escobar. So now suddenly on every tech website, there's this new folding phone with the Escobar name on it, curiously. And it's getting a lot of eyeballs, turning a lot of heads. Very interesting. And it's $350. And looking at the actual phone, it is a curious one. It's a gold accent, which is a nice touch. But if you study the specs or the design long enough at all, you literally realize it's just a Royal Flex Pi with a gold accent taped to it. So, naturally, I ordered one. So on December 5th, 2019, I spent my $350, free shipping, and placed my Escobar Fold.
He was using Klarna before it was cool.
Order. Something a lot of people think about this channel is that, like, I get everything for free. And while it's true that I get review units and I will make first impressions videos with those, I end up buying pretty much everything that I review on this channel. Like, that's why I haven't.
I think it's good to buy things you review, because when you ask people for review products, you're not entirely sure if you're getting something that's been like specially juiced up just for you.
The Moto Razr folding phone yet, for example, because I sent the review unit back. That's what I did the first impressions with. And now the one that I bought's been delayed by several weeks. So anyway, I didn't reach out to Escobar Inc. I didn't even think to ask if they had a review program. I quietly bought one. So that was in December. And yeah, I never got it. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
Because he is a criminal.
It was a little suspicious to begin with. I mean, you look around their website and it's a little suspect. There's some pretty wild pictures and statements trying to sell you this phone. Some pretty...
Does it come with a girl or
bold claims? And it's just overall not the most professional looking website I've ever bought a phone from. But I think we knew from the beginning I wasn't really ever going to get this phone. Like, I put down the money in the off chance I was surprised, and then, hey, that would be kind of funny. But when I put my order into the tracker, it never updated from pen.
If you listen to his audio, can you hear the sound of a car engine humming? It sounds like a small fan spinning, like on a laptop or some other small fan.
Pending. It just sort of said it was in production for months. So that was it. You know, we never made a video on it. We were sharing some other pretty cool stuff at the time. It sort of went under the radar. It was just lost money. That's sort of where I thought it would end. But then we saw headlines of another new Escobar Fold phone. It was the Escobar Fold 2. And once again, there were articles, there were
wait, and the first one never even came out?
Headlines. There were even some videos of this new thing, a $400 Escobar folding phone that looks like this. It's looking kind of familiar again. Oh, that's just a Samsung Galaxy Fold. And then on February 2nd, I got an email from Escobar Inc. just asking mailing address, like, what's your mailing address? At that point, I was again like sort of
the FBI visit MKBHD, because I don't know, did they?
Genuinely interested. But after feedback and forth, we basically declined because they wanted to guarantee a video by sending it to us, and I wasn't willing to commit to guaranteeing a video just from them sending a phone. That's not something we do. So they ended up not sending one. But I did buy a second one, because apparently I like giving money away to anything tech related. So maybe if you guys want to buy the merch and support, we won't have to worry about this so much. But I bought another Escobar Fold 2. So I still didn't have the first one. I went to their site again, bought the second one under a different name. So now I've given them $750, free shipping both times, and I've gotten nothing in return. So for a while I didn't get one, and neither did many other people. But then videos started popping up, and this always happens. I've had this happen before, where I decline something in my inbox, some opportunity, and then a week later I see a bunch of videos about it on YouTube, in my sub box, etc. So this is one of those things I was curious about, because the product isn't that great, but the company behind it and the schematics behind it are so weird. So I tweeted this. 0 out of 10, would not recommend, didn't get the phone both times I ordered. But then that night, believe it or not, when I got home from
the ghost of Pablo Escobar showed up.
Studio to home, which is the shipping address that I put in for my first order, guess what was waiting for me at my door? An Escobar Fold box. So on February 24th, which is like 4 days after this tweet and the box showing up, I got an email saying that they upgraded my Fold 1 order to a Fold 2. Which I believe because it had my name on it from the first order I placed, and it went to the shipping address of my first order I placed. And other people have gotten the same upgrade happen who also happen to be tech reviewers. I feel like the only reason I'm talking about this is because it's based around a tech product. Like, I talk tech, but if this was happening with like a kitchen appliance product or some makeup product or something else like that, I probably wouldn't have cared nearly as much. But because it's tech, and they really seem to be trying hard to make it seem like a great phone to buy, well, that's what made it so fascinating to me.
Wait, he got it?
Okay, so the unboxing experience, super simple. And within about 30 seconds of using a phone, and no, I'm not putting my SIM card in it, but from using the phone just for a little bit, it's pretty clear this appears to be a legit Samsung Galaxy Fold. And the new one at that. So I have my regular Galaxy Fold here with the dust caps on the hinges and the new slightly stiffer hinge and everything. And this Escobar Fold, it's the same phone with a gold sticker glued to it.
Well, but this one has the guy on it.
No, actually, it's actually a Galaxy Fold with gold tinfoil adhesive to it. You take a bit of that gold off of the hinge on the back, and right underneath is that Samsung logo, right where it's supposed to be. And the gold foil comes off the back with a box cutter or a knife or really enough heat to melt the adhesive.
Is the foil at least like real gold foil, or is it just like painted gold color?
So it's not pretty, but yeah, it is an actual Galaxy Fold, fully working, minus any of the stuff that normally comes in the box, and it's a really poor rebranding job. It's an actual Galaxy Fold. So from this point, if you're reviewing an Escobar Fold 2, you're really just reviewing a Samsung Galaxy Fold with a gold sticker on the back and some weird pre-installed mugshot wallpapers. But the Galaxy Fold costs $1,800, and the Escobar Fold 2 costs $400. So How are they pulling this off? Well, it's not just the lower quality packaging. It's not just the lower quality marketing. My theory is that they're going through orders, finding the names of YouTubers or just people in tech media or people who they think will talk about the phone if they get it, and shipping those, and then just not shipping the rest. That's probably why they found my first order, because I had my name attached to it, and why they upgraded me and shipped mine out. They were probably hoping I would speak pretty positively about it. That's why I tweeted what I did. But if you really want to get into it, they tell everything on their site. So the two main people involved are these two guys, Roberto Escobar, so Pablo Escobar.
Why does that guy look like a mugshot, bro?
His older brother and
Smile.
chief of assassinations.
Wait, what? The biological elder brother of Pablo Escobar, co-founder, former accountant and chief of assassinations of the Medellin cartel.
Roberto Escobar, so Pablo Escobar's older brother and chief of assassinations. And this other guy, Olaf Gustafsson, who is the CEO of Escobar Inc. Now, I don't know why both the photos look like mugshots. Maybe that's their cool vibe or whatever. But there's a Twitter account behind this Olaf guy who honestly just looks like a younger, maybe somewhat tech-savvy dude who's just convinced this older guy he can use the Escobar name and make them lots more money from it. So he's tweeted all these articles and tons of photos of celebrities somehow, and he seems very proud of any press he can get, including when he also cloned the Boring Company flamethrower and tried to get Elon to stop selling his, and when he helped Mr. Escobar start a cryptocurrency that didn't exactly work out. But the marketing for the Escobar Fold is easily the best part. So if you go to their YouTube channel, which is truly incredible, I'll link it below. It currently has about 14 videos on it, including a 1-minute video panning back and forth across 5 Fold phones, maybe all that they'd made at that time. There's an unboxing video that I'm pretty sure if I show more than about 3 more seconds of it, it's going to get this video demonetized. They have a video called RIPSamsung.com where they take a bunch of
chances that all of these girls are also like fucking sex trafficked from age 12.
Non-rebranded original Galaxy Folds out of the box, and then put safety glasses on, but no other protective clothing, and then just start smashing Galaxy Folds with sledgehammers until they literally catch on fire. And if you look it up, if you go...
That's how we're going to sell the next DGG knife. $7.99, by the way.
To RIPSamsung.com, which is in the title and this whole video's point. The Escobar guys bought that URL, and they have a redirect to EscobarInc.com, which is crazy because this phone wouldn't exist without Samsung's phone. And then there's 2 other endorsement videos. So I guess this is really how you make sure you sell a lot of phones, from Chris Hansen and Anna Anka.
Hey guys, Chris Hansen here of Hansen vs. Predators. And to catch a predator, I just wanted to tell you all that I've seen this amazing new smartphone called the Escobar Fold 2. It appears to be the best phone out right now. I've been looking at the transcripts. So have a seat, check it out, and remember, I'll be watching. Take care.
It's probably a good thing they disabled comments on these videos.
Hi, I'm Anna Anka from Sweden. I used to be married to the singer Paul Anka, and I just wanted to tell you that the Escobar Fold 2 smartphone is a really, really incredible innovation from some amazing people in Stockholm, Sweden. I hope you guys will enjoy it and use it a lot. Lots of love. Bye.
Also, conveniently, both of these celebrities are on a site called Cameo, which is where you can send requests and pay 50 or 100 bucks or so and get a personalized video in return. I'm pretty sure videos on the site are typically like, oh, have Arnold Schwarzenegger say happy birthday to your friend or something.
Just to be clear, there's no shot that you could go on Cameo and ask for a product endorsement. I feel like these people would charge a lot more for that, unless they're incredibly retarded. Product endorsements are going to cost you a lot more than just the 50 bucks people charge on Cameo, but
I doubt that these two people even know that their videos are being used to help promote a scam. So look, what were the site called?
Will enjoy it. It's a recap from
The best phone out right now. I've been looking at the transcripts. So have a...
No, there's no shot.
I'm a tech reviewer, so I'm typically just focusing on the final product, the finished thing. Should you buy it or not? But this piece of tech...
Fuck Cameo also. I tried to buy a Cameo from the guy who says Hodor, that actor, and it was going to be a Cameo about how even though it can be difficult to speak and you can mess up your speech a lot and blah, 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 like you're still a special person to Dan. I was going to get that and then show it on anything else. And the guy rejected my request after like 2 days. So fuck Cameo, okay? Fuck that website.
So, I've made a few references over the past couple years to that time that the FBI visited the studio. And I was asked not to talk about that for what I feel like are pretty obvious reasons. So for years, I haven't. But it turns out I am now finally able to tell that story. So...
Oh, probably because they don't send these phones out to everybody. And since he actually got one, they probably wanted some information about it. I wonder if they took the phone into custody to analyze it or whatever.
For those of you who don't know, we have a studio here, and it's in a larger building with more tenants in it, obviously. It's like an office building. It's not exactly like an office building, but you know, there's a front desk and security and all that. And I've been in this building long enough that we have a pretty good relationship with them. So we have this one rule, basically. So there's a guy at security at the front desk. We'll call him Bob, just for this. But Bob and I have this one rule, which is that if anyone ever shows up at the front desk and asks for me, that he doesn't let them in, I have to come out and meet them to confirm that I was expecting them, and then I bring them back to our studio. So if someone just randomly shows up, which you shouldn't, but if they do, and I don't show up at the front to meet them, then I wasn't supposed to meet them. But if I have someone coming and I expect them, I meet them outside. That's our one rule. We stick to it. So in June 2020, it was pretty early in this new space that we have, and it's also right around like peak COVID. So I'd sent everybody home, and it was just me and Andrew coming into the studio to work on basically building furniture and making videos and recording the podcast every week. So I got here pretty early on one of those summer mornings, and I'm starting to get all my stuff settled, and then there's a knock on the door. So I open the door, and it's our front desk guy, Bob. And Bob basically says, "Hey Marquez, there's some people with badges at the front desk to see you. I of course didn't let them in, but if you would like to, they're up there." And then he just walked away. And my first thought is confusion. Like, what did I do on the way here that someone with badges would show up asking for me? I'm a little concerned. I'm not sure what to think. So there's a solid minute where I just like stood there in the doorway, like, okay, do I go up there or do I just stay here in the studio without asking who the people with badges are? And I just went up to the front. I went up to the front desk, and sure enough, there's 3 people with badges there, and they walk right up to me, and they all like flash their badges, FBI, just like in movies, like FBI agent this, IRS agent this, and they're like, "Marquez, good to see you. We've got some questions for you about the Escobar phone." So immediately I'm relieved, but I'm like, oh, the Escobar phone. Oh. Because see, a few months earlier, I had published a video about the Escobar Fold. If you guys haven't seen that video, basically the story goes, there's this company parading around and selling this $400 gold folding phone, which they're going to use to destroy Apple and Samsung. They had these insane marketing campaigns and all this. But really what they were doing, as I uncovered in my video, was covering Samsung Galaxy Folds cheaply with like gold stickers, and then shipping them to YouTubers and people who they believe would talk about it positively, and then not shipping any of the other orders from regular people or the audiences that watch those videos. Those people were getting scammed out of their money. And honestly, in hindsight, I don't know how they thought they were going to get away with this. Like, it felt pretty obvious to me, but eventually their whole plan backfired when I made a video about the entire thing. So now fast forward a couple months, and it actually makes sense that the FBI and the IRS are interested. I didn't realize they were just going to show up one day, but here we are. But shout out to Bob at the front desk for sticking to our rule. Even though he probably had a bunch of people like flash FBI badges at him, he stuck to our rule, and that was great. So I appreciate that. But yeah, so I came out, I brought them back to our spot, and they basically then had a bunch of questions about that video and the process of dealing with that company in any way, like any and all communications that I had with them, any email I'd ever sent or received from them ever. They wanted everything. And actually, what's funny, another tidbit is Andrew at the time had just started running the business email account here, and when they were asking, like, has anybody else on your team possibly ever been in email communication with this company? And I was like, I think Andrew might have. And Andrew just had arrived at the studio and walked up to the front door of our spot. And so I go, hey, come in. And first thing he sees is like me in an empty studio with a bunch of people in suits, like waving him over. So he has a pretty funny alternate perspective on the story. So the FBI actually took the half-peeled Escobar Fold and the scratched gold iPhone from my videos as evidence in the case. They literally asked them and took them away. They put them in sealed plastic bags that said evidence on them, which is why I said at the end of Smartphone Awards that year. Also, honorable mention to the Escobar Fold 2, which I also don't have on this desk because it is in the possession of the FBI. Someday I'll be able to tell that story. So as they're leaving, they ask me all the questions. As the FBI and IRS people are leaving, they're like, hey, don't talk about this at all publicly, please. And I'm like, of course, yeah, no, obviously, you're the FBI. I'm not going to talk about it. I don't want to interfere with the investigation in any way. But also, like, when could I talk about it? Like, how long do you think before I'm allowed to? And they said, we'll let you know. So I've been biting my tongue for years, not talking about it, hinting at it a little bit, but not anything too serious. But since then, a lot of the dominoes have started to fall. At first, when the scam was happening, PayPal stopped working with them, so they'd switched to this only non-refundable direct transfer thing with Klarna, and then they stopped working with them too, and then eventually the whole operation starts falling down. And the guy at the head of it, named Olaf Gustafsson, this guy, finally ends up getting arrested and going to prison in Spain for fraud and money laundering and a bunch of other things, basically for everything that I talked about in those videos. So I've been holding on to this, not really knowing, like, okay, is it cool now that he's behind bars to talk about it? So we actually reached back out to those same FBI agents because they left their cards, and they're like, oh yeah, no, it's cool now to talk about it, you're totally fine. So there unfortunately is no footage of any of this incident, but there is these papers which they provided as proof that they received property to be used as evidence in the case. So one Pablo Escobar Fold 2 mobile flip phone, aka Samsung, and one Pablo Escobar Gold 11 Pro mobile phone, aka iPhone 11 Pro. But hey, now you basically know the story. Yeah, pretty serious business out here making videos about phones sometimes, Apparently also, if this guy Olaf ever does get charged in the United States, then it's very likely my videos would show up somewhere in those court documents, which is great.
Okay. Name one time in history where the people who banned books, media, and opinions were the good guys.
Wait, was this a Trump phone in the past, or was this associated with him, or?
Hi, I'm Eric. I'm the world's youngest Bitcoin millionaire. I made it in Silicon Valley, and I've
made it? Oh my God.
Accomplished a lot in my life already. But now, I'm leaving big tech to fight for free speech. Because the big tech overlords are violating your privacy, censoring your speech, and I think that's so wrong. That's why I created the Freedom Phone and its uncensorable app store. Everyone is complaining about big tech censorship, but no one is doing anything about it. They say, build your own phone.
No, the Freedom Phone was totally separate.
So I did. Freedom Phone truly is the best phone in the world. It does everything your current phone does, except censor you and spy on you. With the Freedom Phone, your freedom of speech is our #1 priority. That's why we built our own app store that is completely uncensored. If an app you love has been banned from the mainstream app stores, you can still download it on ours, because we don't ban apps, period. And we've developed the first operating system based on your free speech. There's no app tracking, no keyboard tracking, and no location tracking, because I believe in your security. How do we ensure you're being protected? Say hello to Trust. Trust is our privacy guard. It's designed to warn you whenever an app or a website is tracking you and gives you the option to stop it. Your data, your rules. That's our motto. The Freedom Phone is comparable to the best smartphones on the market. It has an edge-to-edge screen, a super fast processor, and multiple cameras. And your SIM card transfers into the Freedom Phone seamlessly. Big tech companies hold a monopoly on public communication and the dissemination of information, and they're abusing that power.
Before, but wait until you see this one.
Do not buy the Freedom Phone. Okay, I don't care about this that much, okay? Do I care about this?
Ontario inhabitants are now poorer per capita than inhabitants of Mississippi.
Per capita GDP in Mississippi overtook the UK.
Ontario inhabitants are now poorer per capita than inhabitants of Mississippi, and that's the poorest American state.
That is exactly what Europe's economy GDP is still, where it was in 2009. Cost of living is also a lot lower, though. So why haven't economies not grow?
My favorite statistic right now is that if the UK, France, or Germany joined the United States at the 51st state, it would become the poorest state in the Union, poorer than even Mississippi. Send this to your Europeans, remind them who the real hillbillies are.
I'm sorry, but are we really suggesting that countries like Spain, Italy, France, places with piazzas, sculpted marble, high-tech public transportation, and excellent centers of education and research are poorer than Mississippi?
Is this going to be a stupid video or is this going to be an intelligent video? Metrics aren't bad. It just depends on what you're measuring. GDP per capita can give you a quick snapshot of the overall strength of a particular economy. It can probably give you a little bit of insight and is highly correlated with things like worker productivity, probably like overall health of like the people, probably things like access to education, stuff like that. But there are a ton of other things that aren't going to be captured in GDP per capita. It's not going to tell you what type of healthcare access the citizens have, the access to education amongst everybody, things like income inequality, cultural aspects. But that doesn't make GDP per capita is not a bad number. It just measures the GDP per capita. That's it. But okay.
No offense to Mississippi, but come on now. Measuring a country's gross domestic product per capita and comparing it to the US has made for some pretty emotionally charged headlines over the years. From Australia to the United Kingdom, Germany to Canada, wealth and relative poverty are clear concerns, and GDP per capita is often used as a metric for gauging overall economic opportunities. But what is GDP are clear emotionally charged headlines over the years. From Australia to the United Kingdom, Germany to Canada, wealth and relative poverty are clear concerns, and GDP per capita is often used as a metric for gauging.
Since the turn of the century, US GDP per capita, a key measure of income growth, which is true, has grown by 40% compared with only 22% in the EU. That's concerning. Now, that doesn't capture the entirety of an economy, but
overall economic opportunities. But what is GDP per capita actually measuring? What is it good at telling us? What is it not so great about telling us about the relative wealth and well-being of workers within a country? And
relative, I mean, it doesn't really tell you anything. There's going to be correlations, but that's not what it's.
Is there a better metric that could give us insights onto the health of global economies? Well, let's take a look. Before we can make statements like this headline from Euronews, statisticians and economists must try to solve an important problem. How do we compare the prosperity of two countries with different economies, different standards of living, and different currencies? There are a few ways to analyze a country's wealth and prosperity, but GDP, or gross domestic product per capita, is overwhelmingly the most universal because its components are regularly tracked on a global scale, providing ease of calculation and usage. The basic formula for calculating GDP is to divide the gross domestic product, or the total monetary value of all goods and services produced within a country during a specific time period, usually a year, by the number of people living in the country during that time. The reason this is such an important indicator is that higher economic output is usually associated with higher household incomes. In other words, when an economy generates more value per person per year, that typically translates into more money for those working in that economy. In other words, when an economy generates more value per person, such an important indicator is that higher economic output is usually associated with higher household incomes.
I mean, among other things, but maybe, but okay.
In other words, when an economy generates more value per person per year, that typically translates into more money for those working in that economy. Higher incomes mean families can spend more on the things they value. They can afford groceries and rent without financial stress, get the dental care they need, send their children.
No, this is, okay, I already know what type of video this is going to be. Okay. All right, whatever, we'll listen to this.
Children to university and maybe even take a family vacation. It also typically means that governments have a greater capacity to provide public services such as education, healthcare, and other social assistance programs. As a result, higher GDP per capita is often associated with positive outcomes in a wide range of areas such as better health, more education, and even greater life satisfaction. And so in this regard, GDP per capita definitely gets used as kind of a catch-all when we talk about relative wealth and prosperity from one place to another. And specifically when we look here in Europe, there are reasons to ring the alarm when it comes to GDP per capita trends that we've seen over the last few decades. Since 2008, nominal US GDP has outpaced that.
What's wrong with this video? I don't know, maybe I'm too brain rotted from internet shit, but it sounds like the entire video is going to fixate on the disproportionate amount of wealth that's going to the top 1%, and billionaires have too much money, and GDP per capita isn't accurately measuring the well-being of our people because there are other metrics you can use to show that they're lagging behind. So GDP per capita is deceptive, and no one should ever talk about GDP per capita ever because nobody blah blah blah. But who knows? Maybe it'll be smarter than that. We'll find out.
That of the European Union to the point that the EU is now just 2/3 of the economy that the US is, rather than a prior near parity. But these aren't reasons for American triumphalism, let alone reasons to claim that America is somehow unfathomably wealthier than other European nations. Though it is tempting to use GDP per capita as an all-encompassing measurement of prosperity, it doesn't tell us the full story. For instance, though GDP per capita is an indirect measure of average income.
No single number will tell you the full story. It's just one number. It's just one thing. It's one metric.
It doesn't necessarily mean that the typical person in that economy earns this amount. In U.S. states like Mississippi, GDP per capita of average income, it doesn't necessarily of prosperity. It doesn't tell us the full story. For instance, though GDP per capita is an indirect measure of average income.
Is GDP per capita an indirect measure of average income? Does all money in a macroecon sense eventually boil down to income? Is that even true? It's the average per person of all of the goods and services produced in an economy. I don't know if that necessarily translates to income, but maybe I'm being picky. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just wrong.
It doesn't necessarily mean that the typical person in that economy earns this amount.
Of course, it has nothing to do with earnings. It has to do with the goods and services that are produced and how much they sell for, but I don't know.
In U.S. states like Mississippi, GDP per capita tends to be much higher than the average income because of the tremendous value generated by their capital-intensive manufacturing, finance, insurance, and real estate industries. GDP per capita here is $53,872, but
GDP per capita is average income because GDP is basically the sum of all incomes. But wouldn't it include like corporate revenues and business revenues as well, which isn't always necessarily? I'm trying to think if everything in like GDP would eventually boil down to incomes. No, because of exports. Well, if you export something, you're collecting revenue for it, right? Well, I don't know what you mean by that. The calculation of GDP encompasses all private and public consumption, government outlays, investments, additions to private inventories, paid in construction costs. Yeah, sure. I'm just trying to think of like all of that would boil down to income at some point. I don't think it necessarily would. No.
But the per capita and insurance and real estate industries. GDP per capita here is $53,872, but the per capita income is just $30,529.
I don't know why. In my mind, I've never connected GDP per capita as connected with average income. I just don't think that's...
To keep continuity in our analysis here for comparison, we do not see that same discrepancy in Germany, where the GDP per capita is $54,343, and the average income per person is adjusted to $54,718.
Interesting. Okay.
The other big issue with GDP per capita is that it's often used as a kind of metric for measuring wealth. But again, that's also not entirely accurate. Consider two people with equal salaries, but one has $1 million in the bank and is adding to it.
GDP per capita measuring wealth. Why would you ever use GDP per capita to measure wealth? Okay.
While the other has just $6,000 in the bank and is spending more than he or she earns. Nations, too, can overspend from savings and rack up enormous debt. But GDP tells us nothing about the size of the stock they have to draw from or their debt obligations. Yeah. It merely measures the income flow. So the U.S., for reference...
I mean, I guess... Okay, let me back up. If people are using GDP per capita in a retarded way, I guess these aren't good, or these aren't bad critiques. Like, a GDP per capita won't tell you everything. In my opinion, GDP per capita is almost like BMI, I guess, for health. Like, BMI is probably one of the best quick snapshots of a person's health, but like there's a whole bunch of stuff BMI is not going to tell you, obviously, right? But I don't know if there's like a single metric that could tell you about how good an economy is doing or how good like how every person in an economy is doing or whatever, right? Like,
has staggering national debt of $106,110 per person. Germany, in contrast, was just 30,930 euros per person. The US hasn't had a balanced budget, meaning a match between what the government spends and its revenue, since 2001, when Bill Clinton left office. Meanwhile, prioritizing a mostly balanced budget, or a debt break, as we call it in Germany, is legally binding for federal and state governments. Now, before you come at me in the comment sections, yes, of course, there are exceptions to this, and this has caused a lot of political turmoil here in Germany. But generally speaking, I find that politicians here in Germany are much more conscious about the debt that the nation takes on and what it'll ultimately mean for future generations that are going to be responsible for paying it back. Moreover, in narrowly focusing in on income, GDP per capita leaves out the value of leisure and enjoying the life you worked hard for. This can distort our conception of the relative flourishing of countries. For instance, while the US GDP per capita is roughly 15% higher than the Netherlands, American workers work 26% more hours than their Dutch counterparts. Which country do you think is happier, or spends more time on vacations, or gets to spend more time bonding with their children? It's not the United States. Also, keep in mind that GDP per capita can also be severely skewed by low tax environments. Take Ireland, for example. The country regularly makes the global top 10 for GDP per citizen. However, its real-world wealth is modest in European terms. You see, Ireland's GDP is principally distorted by the presence of more than 1,500 multinationals. Among them, most of the world's top tech, pharma, and aviation leasing firms, primarily because of the country's status as a tax haven. Just take a look at what happened in 2015 when Ireland posted a gravity-defying 26% gain in GDP, the highest ever recorded in post-war Europe. Why? Well, the majority of that gain reflected Apple's decision that year to shift its intellectual property assets to an Irish domicile. The IMF calculated in 2018 that a quarter of Ireland's GDP growth could be attributed to global sales of iPhones, with the other Apple units paying the Irish unit to use its IP. But those phones didn't change the day-to-day quality of life or economic opportunity of the average Irish man or woman. The quality of life remained unchanged from the year prior. The most glaring issue, however, with calculations around GDP per capita is that they don't take into account income inequality. After all, the big issue with averages is that if the pool is skewed significantly to one side, it can really distort the final result that you get. Imagine two countries with the same national income. In the first, 40% of the country's income goes to the top 10%. In the second, 20% does. The latter country has much more income to go around to the vast majority of its citizens, and the aggregate well-being is likely to be higher. And this is something that is especially bad in the United States. In the past 60 years, America witnessed a massive transfer of wealth from the middle class to the wealthiest families, increasing wealth inequality.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles!
In 1963, the wealthiest family had 36 times the wealth of families in the middle of the wealth distribution. By 2022, they had 71 times the wealth of families in the middle. And over the past 3 decades, America's most affluent families have added to their net worth, while those on the bottom have dipped into negative wealth, meaning the value of their debts exceed the value of their assets, which is the literal definition of the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And don't get me wrong, other countries too have experienced widening wealth inequalities. However, no other similarly wealthy nation has done it bigger and better than the United States. For much of modern history, rich countries tended to have lower income inequality than developing countries. After all, wealthy countries shouldn't have large swaths of their population living in abject poverty.
What do you think is the best metric to assess how favorable a country's economy is to the average worker? Best metric for... I'm not actually sure. I don't know.
However, over the past few decades, the U.S. has risen to be an outlier amongst wealthy nations, not necessarily because of inequality and injustice at the bottom, but outrageous opulence at the top. But to understand this picture further, I want to hit pause for a second. But has risen to be an average swaths of their population living in abject poverty. However, after all, wealthy countries shouldn't have large swaths of their population living in abject poverty. However, over the past few decades, the U.S. has risen to be an outlier amongst wealthy nations, not necessarily because of inequality and injustice at the bottom, but outrageous opulence at the top. But to understand this picture further, I want to hit pause for a second and introduce another metric that I think helps to complete the picture that
it's going to be the Gini coefficient.
GDP per capita is often trying to paint. The Gini coefficient or Gini index is the...
These measure totally different things. I don't disagree with her video, kind of. Like, if people are trying to say, like, oh, this country's way better than the other one because of GDP per capita, that's a retarded argument. The GDP per capita is just going to show you, like, roughly, like, what is the productivity and the strength of, what is the productivity of the work and like what is the strength of the economy, right? If this has a GDP per capita of $1,000 and this place has a GDP per capita of like $50,000 and like both countries are similar sized, or the other one can even be, you know, much smaller with the higher GDP per capita, it just shows you that there's like a lot of money and wealth and everything that flows through this economy. But it doesn't tell you about the relative disposition of workers here. It doesn't tell you a ton of other things. But that, I mean, like, that's okay. That's not, like, GDP per capita is not supposed to tell you that. That's what the number is for, you know? Like I said, like BMI is like an okay quick snapshot of somebody's health. But if somebody's like, okay, well, this person's BMI is actually, you know, in the bottom of the healthy range, but they have cancer. So looks like BMI isn't telling you anything. It's, well, yeah, it's not meant to measure cancer, right?
The most commonly used measure of inequality, developed by Italian statistician Corrado Gini. It measures inequality on a scale from 0 to 1, where higher values indicate higher inequality. A value of 0 indicates perfect equality. Everyone has the same income. A value of 1...
Everybody uses it as a gauge for average wealth, though. I mean, it probably, like, if I had to guess, GDP per capita is probably the single best individual metric for trying to correlate to average wealth, but there are probably better individual metrics you could use, especially within an economy, to try to track. Like, my guess is going to be that if you were to draw on a graph, like what is the average level of stuff available to a person, and you looked at like GDP per capita, like your graph is probably going to end up looking something like, it's going to like it won't be like the strongest correlation ever, but it's probably going to be like something like this or whatever, would like be my guess, with some weird outliers or whatever.
and indicates perfect inequality, where one person receives all of the income and everyone else receives nothing. We can use this metric to create something called the Lorenz curve, a visual representation of how far a country falls from perfect equality. In a population where income is shared perfectly equally, the Lorenz curve would be a straight diagonal line. 10% of the population would earn 10% of the total income, 20% would earn 20% of the total income, and so on and so forth. This line of equality is shown here on your screen. However, if we were to create a hypothetical population that was not so equal, perhaps where the bottom 60% of the population only earns 30% of the total income, the Lorenz curve falls, as shown. But the Gini coefficient doesn't tell us the full story either, as illustrated when we take this from a hypothetical example into the real world. For example, as you see here, South Africa is, by this measure, the most unequal country in the world with a Gini index of 0.63. On the other hand, it still has roughly twice the median income of Guinea. The Gini index measures inequality within a country, but it doesn't take into account the country's overall wealth, which is where GDP per capita that I paused on earlier re-enters this conversation. When we plot on a graph the Gini coefficient on the y-axis and the GDP per capita on the x-axis,
what would my guess be here? I want to say that the lower GDP per capita, like the higher Gini coefficient, as in it's less likely to be more unequal because you just have everybody who's poor. But in some of these places, you could have like incredibly wealthy individual families that skew it heavily. So I don't actually know what it would end up as.
For all of the countries globally, you get this. Note the size of the...
Oh, okay. Or there's just fuck all. Probably a really weak R squared showing an inverse relationship, maybe?
Circles visually represents the population of those countries. On the bottom right, we have countries that are wealthy and experience low income inequality, such as Norway and the Netherlands. On the top left...
Well, would I say weak?
Wealthy and experience low income inequality, such as Norway and the Netherlands. On the top left, we have countries which experience widespread poverty, as well as highly unequal societies.
Okay, so yeah, so there probably are like super wealthy families or organizations or whatever, like in Mozambique and Zambia and Zimbabwe that have money that skew this heavily, I guess, or warlords or whatever the fuck else.
Such as Mozambique and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. An obvious outlier from the pack is the United States. For a country with moderately high wealth per capita, it experiences higher income inequality than all of its peers. And when we plot these values over time, we can see that while, yes, in fact, GDP per capita is high and it's growing, that wealth is being highly concentrated in the hands of just a very few, with little to no benefit to the typical average American family. And just in case you were wondering, yes, there has been calculations of the Gini coefficient on a state-by-state basis in the United States. And wouldn't you know it, Mississippi is, in fact, a highly unequal income state, just as predicted. Now hear me out.
Well, what predicted that? Why did we predict that? Because we just don't like Mississippi? I mean, I don't like Mississippi, but but okay.
Highly still be a really great place to live and work, particularly if you have a really great potential for really equal interest in the United States.
Like just shooting in the dark here, but does this have more to do with like GDP per capita or Gini coefficient, or does this have to do with like legacy of slavery and segregation? I don't know, just like maybe?
And wouldn't you know it, Mississippi is, in fact, a highly unequal income state, just as predicted. Now hear me out. The U.S. can still be a really great place to live and work, particularly if you have a really great potential for wealth accumulation, whether that comes from inherited wealth, whether that's in the form of a high-paying job where you can accumulate that wealth over time, or with the
because she was comparing the GDP per capita versus the average income. Gotcha.
Potential of a nice education where you can get that amount of wealth in the future. America is, after all, known as the land of opportunity. And I'm sure there will be many young Americans in the comment section of my video that are going to counter everything I've said thus far and say, yeah, well, at my job in the United States, I can make double what I would make in Europe. And to be fair, you're not wrong. However, just as the United States has been known as the land of opportunity, the risk of failure has also never been higher there. Personal debt is at an all-time high. Families are having less children, in part, has also never been higher there.
Nominal total household debt balance. Why does this matter? Wouldn't we want to see this as like a percentage of household income? Especially if we're looking at nominal. Like we would expect this to go up over time due to, if nothing, for nothing else, for inflation, right? Like a car today is $30,000. A car 100 years ago, when were cars invented? It's way cheaper. I don't know why we would look at this in like nominally. We would expect literally every single stat to go up nominally for everything, but okay.
Personal debt is at an all-time high. Families are having less children.
Not even nominally.
Failure
Wait, I'm sorry.
has also never been higher there. Personal
nominal total household debt. Also, as the population increases, we would expect to see this go up as well, right? Because this is literally just adding all of the household debt. This isn't even like on a per household basis. Okay, whatever.
Debt is at an all-time high. Families are having less children in part due to financial concerns.
I don't think that this says anything about financial concern, but okay. Maybe on the next one, or she's just assuming it, I guess.
And compared to most European counterparts, Americans have less of a financial safety net and significantly lower worker protections.
That's true.
Plus, it's normal in American culture to have to beg for donations in order to have the basic level of protection offered to citizens in most other similarly wealthy countries.
To be clear, that's not normal. Starting Kickstarters and all of that it might be normal on Twitter, but I don't think that's a normal thing.
GoFundMe doesn't exist where I live here in Germany. The idea that I would have to beg my friends and family for money so that I can take time off of work to help care for an ill child, or to cover my medical expenses, or to take off maternity leave greater than 6 weeks is absurd. I'm not saying that European economies don't face issues of wage stagnation, cost of living, or international economic competition. There are real concerns here on how aging populations will impact our ability to offer robust social protections. But while our conversations here in Europe are revolving around how we continue paying for these services, Americans are still trying to figure out how to do it in the first place. And here's the thing, at the end of the day, strong communities are not built by removing the guardrails. And it constantly surprises me on just how many Americans don't see that the issues plaguing their communities, like violence, poor educational opportunities, affordable housing shortages, crumbling infrastructure, and chronic illness epidemics aren't exactly the product of economic policy choices that they have made along the way. And as a society, we all benefit from raising the collective quality of life, not lowering the burden of social contribution. And what calculations like GDP per capita and the Gini coefficient together illustrate for me is that wealth accumulation amongst the top 1% don't equate to a better quality of life for the average person. But I would love to hear your thoughts on the subject below.
Thanks. I mean, we could have made like a 10-second video saying that, I guess.
Obviously, discussions around GDP per capita and quality of life really get some people emotionally charged. And comparing where you have the best opportunity is a serious conversation that so many of us have. So I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section on this topic, as well as maybe a discussion on how you feel these things have shifted over time, because these issues obviously aren't stagnant. So again,
It's explaining it for dummies, but it's not really explaining it. She like normatively loaded this with a whole bunch of other stuff too. If she just wanted to explain GDP per capita can't measure all these things, and just do that. We don't have to put in all this other weird stuff that like drives us way more ideologically than it needs to be, I guess.
Let me know your thoughts down below. And as always, if you enjoyed what you saw today, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And for more content from Type Ashton, hit that subscribe button. So I'll see you next Sunday. Cheers.
Okay. Oh no. I feel like this is too much. Oh, no, never mind. We're not gonna look at this. What is this? Joe Rogan, regular, apologizes for supporting Trump, calls for impeachment. Wait, did he already walk it back? Play the video for jump scare? No, it's not a video. It's just a whole bunch of charts on how like people don't like it, but like GDP and GDP per capita are it's a decent proxy for basically everything. But people get scared when you say that, so that's all this is. But I mean, if I just read this, people are just going to accuse me of drugging myself off. So, but it is what it is. Whatever. Oh, they blocked him from getting a new Trump phone, I bet. Oh, no, he didn't walk this back. Sorry, the chatter phrase that weird. What is this?
It's like, we need a lot more Mark Levin. Less Jesse Waters, more Mark Levin. Mark Levin! What they're doing is does what they always do, which is just turning up the propaganda hose to full blast.
Oh, yeah?
And just trying to, knock elderly Fox viewers off their feet and make them submit to a new war. So do.
Okay. Somebody said this was...
Take a look at this map.
At like 30 minutes this comes up?
The locations of a hidden fortune stored in...
Drinking warm water before bed fixes tooth and gum problems.
Oh,
overnight.
shit, I didn't know that.
People are healing...
A big part of what we've done right now in the world has been focused on technology for people who've been underserved, whether that's been in crypto or anything else. But one of the places where we felt there was lackluster performance was in the mobile industry. And so with Trump Mobile, we're going to be introducing...
The difference between the Trump L phone and the Escobar phone? Well, I mean, for one of them, it was literally like an actual convicted fucking criminal guy who was selling just like a rebranded fucking phone that never even materialized into an actual real thing. And then the other is whatever Trump's phone is, I guess. Or no, the other one was Escobar's phone. Fuck, I fucked up the joke! No! Sorry. Somebody in chat asked me to compare what about places like Mississippi versus Barcelona, where in Barcelona, the standard and quality of life is much higher, but they have a GDP per capita that's lower than Mississippi. Bro, I don't know fuck all about Europe. Barcelona, is that just like a... Okay, it's a city, right? I don't think you can compare like a city to a whole state. There might be reasons why, it wouldn't surprise me if, what's the name of the place? Like Lake Tahoe might have a really low GDP or something and a low GDP per capita, but it's because I don't know how much business stuff actually goes on at Lake Tahoe. I think rich people just go and move there to retire and they just chill there all day and do nothing. But that's not like accurately capturing anything there. When is the DGG plush for sale again? I don't know. Is it listed on the... Is it listed on the subreddit? Do they have a launch date for it? It's not listed? Well, get fucked then. Jesus.
An entire package of products that people can come, they can...
Okay. How would you sell this clearly fucking retarded and insane Trump phone? Let's find out from our #1 conservative dick suck. Good luck.
Can get telemedicine on their phone for one flat monthly fee, roadside assistance in their cars, unlimited texting to 100 countries around the world, and we've partnered with some of the best to really bring something unique to the American people. So,
can't build here in America anymore. No one can build anything in America. Look at this freaking sweet golden phone. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now,
the sweet golden phone, this Photoshop version of a phone that we've never seen before, that we have no proof this is ever even going to exist. Okay.
Golden boy! Eric Trump, live from Trump Tower. He's, of course, the CEO of the Donald Trump Organization. Fresh off of this announcement, let's go to Eric. Good morning, an exciting morning at Trump Tower. Once again, and happy 10-year anniversary, Eric, of the golden escalator moment.
Yeah, now we have golden phones, Benny. Now we have golden phones.
Is that just an iPhone back, or do the Samsung Galaxies or whatever have a ton of cameras on the back, or what? Can anybody identify? Because this looks like it's just the back of an iPhone. No, this looks the exact same as the back of my iPhone. Is this just an iPhone? What do I have? An iPhone 15? Is this the exact same? Does anybody know? This is the back of my phone. Okay. What?
And for the people who want to be a little bit less subtle, we've got great American flag phones. So
These are just cases for iPhones. Do the Androids look like this? So it's not even a real, they don't even have like a prototype. And they're shipping this in September? Oh, the Post says that it's available in 1 week for the DGG plushie. Also, the render, yeah, it doesn't even look the same. Where's the top and bottom camera here? The fuck?
Live. Later moment.
Yeah, now we have golden phones, Benny. Now we have gold. Feels like it's flown by.
Can I, bro? Dude, I'm going crazy. Like, the amount of media illiteracy and tech illiteracy to even report on that. Like, who's creating a brand new cell phone and then shipping it in 5 months without even a prototype, with no prior announcement? Like, this is not impossible. You can't do this. This is impossible. This would be like me announcing a DGG car that launches in 1 month that we've made from the ground. Like, you can't do this. Like, what? It's so stupid.
Can you I want to jump into the mobile devices, but quickly, like, since this is the 10-year anniversary, what was happening before your father went down that escalator? Can you give us any background?
Oh my God, this slobbering, dude.
The story.
So I'm in Trump Tower right now. My father's office is about 10 feet above my head, right? Literally, this exact spot right above me is where my father's chair still sits. And about 3 days before he called us into his office, he goes, "Kids, we're gonna, I'm gonna do this. Let's do it together, right?" Everything we had ever done, Ben, you know this. You've known me for years, but we'd always done things together, whether it be real estate, The Apprentice, every venture we had ever done, and we knew we weren't gonna have anybody on our side. We knew we were gonna get attacked viciously, and he goes, "Kids, let's do this." And it was really Don and I and a few others who were, just about the only ones that were standing on that stage next to him. We had no fans, we had no senators, we had no congressmen, we had no one who believed. We certainly didn't have the media. And he goes, "But kids, we're going to get hit harder than we've ever gotten hit in our lives, and we're going to find out who our true friends are." And we did awfully quickly. I mean, nothing's more true. And he comes down that escalator and gives a beautiful speech, but also a very tough speech, and a speech that was very needed at the time, which is, we're going to start protecting this country. We're going to start putting this country first. We're going to get rid of the bad guys out of this country. We're not going to allow, our country to be overwhelmed by murderers and a lot of other people. And, it was tough. And I'm not sure if kind of the political ecosystem has ever heard that verbiage before.
Yeah, because you sound like a fucking retard. We're going to get rid of all the bad guys. We're going to get them out of here, and the murderers. No one's ever said that before.
And America adored it, and America appreciated it. And America appreciated the fact that they finally had somebody who would go out there and actually speak their mind and wasn't full of you-know-what, and would actually execute upon what he said. And America began to adore the man, and he created the greatest political revolution in American history. And here we are after they tried to impeach him twice. They weaponized government against him. I became the most subpoenaed person in American history. They went after Supreme Court justices. They tried to take him off the ballots in states, Maine, Colorado, just to name a few. They did the dirty dossiers. They did the Russia hoax. They weaponized all of the DOJ, all of the FBI. They raided his homes, right? Then they went after him in New York, and they went after him in Atlanta. They went after him by every far-left AG and DA in our nation. They made his life hell. And then they tried to kill him, Benny. I mean, they tried to kill him in Butler. They tried to kill him, outside his golf course in...
Oh my God, can we please rope in? And now you see them killing other Democratic politicians, like what that Democrat did up in Minnesota. Please rope him in and call him a Democrat. You can do it.
In Palm Beach, Florida. They did everything they could to take the man out, and he kept on standing up saying, "Fight, fight, fight." And so, listen, you look back 10 years later, it's emotional, right? Part of the journey has been so beautiful, right? And part of that journey you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. But at the same time, kind of the nastiness of the journey has in a certain way, at the end, having won every single swing state and doing so decisively, winning the popular vote, the nastiness made it all honestly worth it. And you look back at the journey and you just shake your head and you say, listen, in the craziest Tom Clancy novel, you couldn't have written this story. And if you did, they would have stopped reading it because they wouldn't have believed it. And here we sit today with the greatest president in American history back in the Oval Office. And love the man, couldn't be more proud of the man. Miraculous human being. Ben, you gave that same job to every billionaire in the country. They all would have failed. They all would have quivered. They all would have retreated. They all would have, ran away and hid. The guy never did, and I love him to death for it. He's a remarkable human being.
I love him to death. He's your dad. Shouldn't you love him? Iran should have signed the deal I told them to sign. What a shame and a waste of human life. Simply stated, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I said it over and over again. Everyone should immediately evacuate.
Definitely think.
Tehran. Good one. Some commentators on Ars Technica found the manufacturer of the phone. Oh, I mean, like, that's one screenshot I see. Ulefone Note 18 Ultra 5G unlocked phone. Oh, maybe it is. Stop.
You know, I was hoping to get to this, but since you brought it up, I just have to jump really quickly to the No Kings protests here. Of course, you have a political assassin that was just apprehended in Minnesota.
Oh, yes, you brought it up. Yes, I cummed. Yes. Call him a Democrat. Call him a Democrat.
Kings flyers in the back of his car. You've seen the violence in LA. They have this logo, which is putting almost like a target on your father's head. It's like an X through your father's head. After all.
You know that, like, that's not his head, right? Does he think the head, like, leaks back out into there?
All of that, everything that you just detailed. The multiple assassinations and the actual scope trained on your father's head who took a bullet to the head for this country. The only president in my lifetime or yours that would
A bullet to the head? My brother in Christ. It grazed maybe his ear. Maybe. Chill.
That would ever do that and did do that. What will they stop at? I mean, this seems patently evil. It seems like they're once again calling for violence. And they are violent.
I mean, you had the FBI director, the former FBI director, Benny, who literally said 86.
Oh my God, not that.
47, right? Kill 47, and he just miraculously found this while walking along the beach, written in shells. I mean, the wave patterns, the H2O patterns of, right, and sand movements just happened to arrange shells that said kill the 47th president of the United States. This came from the ex-FBI director, right? This is the crap that we're dealing with, right?
Wow.
And it's I went to the military parade, and I've never been so kind of honored to sit behind my father at that parade, and it was beautiful. People were singing the national anthem. They were, saying the Pledge of Allegiance. And by the way, you had hundreds of thousands of people celebrating the birthday of the greatest army ever created on the face of this earth. Not a problem, not a insulting word, not a curse word used, no fights, no anything. And then you flip to the other side of the country, go to LA, where you look at overpass where these mongoloids are throwing cinder blocks at cops and cop cars and ravaging them. I mean, there's a fleet of cop cars that were absolutely destroyed. They're totaled. They will never be used again because people decide to throw bricks. And rocks and other heavy objects at them. They try and take the lives of law enforcement. They burn cars. They destroy cities. They all use it as an excuse to loot, and rob homes and rob stores and everything else. It's total chaos. Listen, you're showing the great clips on the screen right now, right?
Wait, in the totality of all those LA riots, how many people died? Did anybody die? I'm sure there must have been at least one. But I feel like I would have heard more about it.
Didn't have any of this in Washington, D.C. Have you ever had any of that at any of the Trump rallies? And honestly, Benny, the American people are really, really smart. And
also, why are we looking at videos from a few days ago? Why not the ones that just happened like yesterday? Or the day before? Sorry.
Get it? And it's driving the center, right? And it's even driving rational, Democrats farther and farther right because they don't want to put up with this crap. They don't want to put up with that Molotov cocktail that just got thrown off the bridge right there. They don't want to put up with the graffiti. That's their taxpayer dollars being burned that you're looking at right now. And it's really interesting. The one thing that Republicans don't do is wear masks. And it's really amazing that every single one of those people is wearing a mask. It's disgusting. When they're flying flags of foreign nations while standing around, American taxpayer paid for cop cars that are really, really expensive, laughing at them while they burn. You better believe they're putting a lot of people in the Republican Party right now.
Wow.
Yeah, I do wonder, like, at some point, you have to ask, like, did they just hate America? Because Hillary Clinton came after you. So Hillary Clinton came directly.
This is what people like MAGA consumes all day for news. If you're curious, like, why these people are so deranged, this is the type of stuff they watch day in and day out and day in and day out and day in. It's just all this. And there's like a million different podcasts and news shows to give them the same type of like propaganda / lie / stupid arguments /
Hillary Clinton came directly for you and your father, and she posted actually photos of the parade this weekend.
Hillary Clinton. We're still talking about Hillary Clinton.
Do they hate America?
Well, yeah. I mean, I want to get you to respond to Hillary here. Yeah. So Hillary says, compare and contrast the scenes yesterday in America. Okay. On one hand, you have Trump's low energy Dear Leader parade, and then on the other, you have millions of people gathering peacefully. Except for there was a serial killer who was committing political assassinations with No Kings flyers in the back of his car. But
that guy. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because they still are. They're gonna say he's a Democrat. By the way, remember when they lie, it's a forever lie. They'll never change their tune on that. By the way.
I'm just going to ignore that. I'd like to get you to respond to Hillary Clinton here.
By the way, the parade was anything but low energy. It was absolutely one of the most beautiful signs of patriotism I think our country's ever seen. I was honored to be there, and the meaning that it had for the United States military. When I'm getting texts from everybody I know saying, my kids were watching that parade, and now they want to serve our great country, that's an absolutely beautiful thing. And by the way, if you want to talk about low energy, talk about Hillary Clinton, a person who's planning her convention at the Javits Center in New York with tens and tens of thousands of balloons falling out of the sky, as opposed to campaigning in Pennsylvania. You want to talk about low energy, I'll give you low energy, right? The people who weren't low energy were the people who wore out about 400 pairs of shoes running through every swing state in the country, and then did it again in 2020 and 2024. I wouldn't exactly say that, Hillary should be talking, to anybody in our family about, energy or charisma or anything else. But, she should be looking at the cop cars that are burning. And
Didn't Hillary, what was it? Was it 3 million, 4 million votes more than Donald Trump? What was going on there? Maybe that election was rigged too, I guess. I don't know. Just the popular vote was rigged, maybe?
Should be condemning that, not a beautiful parade commemorating the hundreds of thousands of servicemen over the years that have fallen in defense of our great nation, starting 250 years ago and going all the way through, today, having won, virtually every battle, have kept every evil out of this country. How a politician can't get behind that, Benny, is like
It's just unfathomable to me.
I just don't think she's ever gotten over it, Eric. I think she'll hold that bitterness and her box of Chardonnay forever and ever and go on walks in the woods. And it's just like it's really hideous and ugly. But she was running for commander-in-chief, and here she is bashing the U.S. Army on this birthday, which is all this was about. Like, it's
figure. And supporting people who are burning cop cars that are paid for by U.S. taxpayers. And by the way, a state that already has serious problems, which is the state of California, where their budget deficits are through the roof. The last thing that they need to do is go out and buy new cop cars because perfectly good ones were destroyed by a bunch of anarchists. That's the last thing California needs.
So, Eric, I'm so sorry that we've sort of like veered onto a number of different news topics here, but I didn't want to give you an opportunity to explain that you can build things here in America with Trump Mobile.
Yeah.
Please.
Well, we can and we will. So we launched Trump Mobile. And Benny, this all started when they deplatformed my father, right? We had to build Truth Social, right? To combat the fact that they were taking away his freedom of speech. Then all of a sudden, for our company, they started coming after our bank accounts. They were trying to cancel us. They pulled every account from us. And so we really got into the crypto space, World Liberty Financial and others, because we wanted to combat that. We believed in DeFi. We wanted to give people financial freedom back. We're doing the same thing with Trump Mobile right now. I'm incredibly excited. You can build these phones in the United States. Our customer service is in the United States. It's in St. Louis, Missouri. We can add more functionality. We can do it cheaper. We can do it better. And eventually, all the phones can be built in the United States of America. We have to bring manufacturing back here. And so our ethos is, build for Americans, by Americans, do it cheaper, do it better. Monthly plans, $47 a month, which we kind of thought was fun and cool. Unlimited calling, unlimited text, over 100 countries around the world. And when you actually pick up the phone...
Oh, fuck. I see why people were spamming that. I'm sorry. I just got that. I'm sorry. $47 a month. Wait, so I'm curious. So, was this made in America? Is this a made in America phone? Ulefone Note 18 Ultra 5G unlocked cell phones. Because apparently this is the model they're building off of or whatever. Is this, or that they're putting a sticker on? Is this the made in America phone? MediaTek Dimensity 720 chip. The most efficient 5G chip. What is the processor? They're Indian. Wait, see more where? The fuck? Oh. They're Belgian. Contact us. Ulefone. Okay. They're manufactured in Shenzhen, China. The company's parent company, Shenzhen Gotron Electronics Company, Ltd., is based on this major electronics manufacturing center. Ulefone was founded in 2012 and is a manufacturer of mobile phones, according to Traxon.
If you need to transfer a SIM card, if you need to do something, you speak to somebody in St. Louis, you speak to somebody in the United States of America, not in Bangladesh, where they're going to take your information, sell it to a third party, will likely hack. You're speaking to somebody in the United States of America. And our commemorative phone right there, as you see, the T1 gold, a tribute to that escalator ride, a tribute to clearly a color that's probably become synonymous with our family. We could not be more excited. So you can go on. I mean, literally right now, if you go to Trump Mobile, you can get TrumpMobile.com. You can get an eSIM card. You can convert your phone over, $47 a month, and work with all the biggest wireless providers in this country. No difference in terms of service whatsoever. In fact, better. And we couldn't be more proud.
Amazing. Any idea, and it's just a personal question, any idea if Elon Musk is going to be using one of these?
I hope he is. I'm a big fan of his. I'm a big fan of everything that he's accomplished. He's he's a remarkable American. I really I hope he uses one, and I hope every Republican uses one, and I hope frankly every American uses one. I think it's a message we can all get behind, and I think we're going to build something that's really great. And so many other services, Benny, that have been totally ignored. Healthcare services, telemedicine, that's going to be added to the features of the phone, roadside assistance, which will be added. So many things that frankly the cell phone companies just have not done well. And again,
yeah, I always complain to my cell phone company that they don't offer roadside assistance and free telehealth services.
And all for $47 a month, right? I mean, look at your cell phone plan now. Chances are you're getting ripped off, probably like I was as well, because your cell phone plan goes up 10% a year every year, and there's fine little print, and you don't pay attention to it, and it gets out of control over the course of 4 or 5 years. Or $47 a month, and we're very proud of that number.
Amazing. Godspeed, Eric. There's so much more to talk about. I hope that you're back very, very soon. And congratulations. What a day, what a weekend. It was inspiring. Our team was there. It was awesome. Let the haters hate. Their hate is truly hideous and ugly.
It is ugly. It is ugly.
Yeah, just like Hillary Clinton. She says low energy, but she was having to be thrown into the back of a van during the presidential race. I don't.
When she collapsed, and then the mainstream media hid it from the entire world, right?
9 years ago? 10 years ago? How long are we talking about Hillary and Biden and...
we never got that story, Eric. No one ever explained that, you see.
In the Scooby van. Remember, it was a Scooby van. It was a modified Secret Service van that literally had, recliners in there. It's, rather remarkable, Benny, but that's for a different subject. I mean, here's the good news. The Clinton dynasty is, forever extinguished.
and I think it's been replaced in a major way, and I couldn't be more proud of that. And I think you have somebody who really cares about our country, puts our country first, and is going to be on the right side of history. So we love you, buddy. Thank you for being in the fight. Thank you for all you do. We love your viewers as well, and you're a great man.
Ladies and gentlemen, 6 million Americans follow Eric Trump on X. You should be one, and get your Trump phone and follow him.
Botted. 90% botted. All right, cool. Video showing an Iranian hypersonic missile striking a target in the Gush Dan. What is Gush Dan? Is this some area in Israel? Tel Aviv metro area. Oh, okay. What are your thoughts on that missile? I mean, I don't think I would call it a hypersonic missile, but it was going fast. Missiles, ballistic missiles especially, tend to as they go into the earth. Don't care about this. This is dumb. Trump family phone. Don't care about that. Did this. Speed dropped his new music video. Isn't that statement to evacuate Tehran pretty crazy? I don't know if it's a real evacuation statement or if it's just him being retarded. I think that if America was going to bomb Tehran massively, or if Israel was going to bomb it massively, I think that they would have communicated that to Iran already. They wouldn't just be tweeting it out to see if they take it seriously. I watched Lonerbox Live. He said they're called missiles because they miss. I almost fell out of my chair. Nice. Are liberals finally disassociating themselves? It's supposed to be disassociating, not dissociating, but that's okay. From the left. It's the first time I've seen a wave of pushback against rhetoric like death to America or death to Israel. I bring a sort of death to America and Israel vibe to the No Kings protest that liberals don't really like. Then maybe fuck off. Folks like you are part of the reason these protests are happening in the first place. There are like 193 more countries you can move to. Damn. This is why Democrats don't reach out to the left. You didn't organize these protests. You immediately start trying to subvert them. Damn. Liberals have shown themselves to be more efficient at organizing than any leftist group in America, and they're not taking it kindly. Damn. Based? Dissociate, disconnect, or separate. Used especially in abstract contests. Yeah, but I don't think, but if you're trying to break away from like a movement or something, I think you would say disassociate. No? You would say disassociate. Another term for dissociate? Or are these the same? I thought these were two different things. Oh, maybe they're used interchangeably. That seems kind of weird. Okay. Wait, what? Does this not work anymore? How many people have posted this fucking link? Israel destroying 2 F-14 Tomcats. Wow. Wow. That's crazy, chat. Those Tomcats are from the days of the Shah. I think an F-14 is what they flew at the end of Top Gun 2. That's what they found in the hangar, right?
Hello guys, it's Rorschach here.
Oh shit. This was Mama JF, right?
Something a little bit extra for this Sunday. As soon as I've got the day off work and I'm spending my time going to the gym, eating pizza and watching live streams. So I was watching this live stream, as you can see from the bottom left, it's called Against Proprietarianism with NWG, that's No White Guilt.
Did they ever find his wife? Nope. 2 years now, I think.
TPS is the public space. So the man on the left is No White Guilt, and the man on the right is the host of the stream, John Francois Gariepi. It's been a very interesting conversation. It's been going on for 1 hour, 3 minutes. And during that time period, the girlfriend of John Francois has continuously attempted to interrupt the stream.
What happened to him? Jail? No, just walks as a free man. I don't think they have any proof he did anything though. But
trying to talk to the man on the left. I assumed it was some sort of light-hearted joke.
Supersonic is over 767 miles per hour. Hypersonic is Mach 5, which is between 4,500 miles per hour and 15,000 miles per hour. They can pull 60G maneuvers. They are very, very advanced tech. Generally, when you call something hypersonic or supersonic, that's about how fast I can paint my dick blue and come in your mom. Just like that. When you're giving a speed rating or whatever to a missile like that, like hypersonic, supersonic, or whatever, usually you're talking about whether or not it can maneuver at high speeds. A ballistic missile, definitionally, I believe, tends to be unguided to some extent, or it doesn't guide it that much. That's why it's a ballistic missile. It's like you lob something over. Ooh, so the trajectory is like somewhat predictable. So if you have like in Israel, your Arrow 3, Arrow 2, or your David Sling interception systems, as long as you kind of see the trajectory, you can kind of calculate it and try to intercept. But a hypersonic or a supersonic thing is something that is supposed to be able to, like after it's been launched and it's like close to its target, it can be maneuvered with a high degree of reliability to still hit a target after or as it approaches. And when something is moving that fast and can change trajectory, you can never, my guess, you can never intercept it. It's almost impossible to intercept. It would be incredibly daunting to do that.
But
it's not just a measure of raw speed. It has to do with, can you maneuver it at the as it approaches the target at a high speed.
This happened, and I'll play this stream, and something quite extraordinary happens.
Forbes says, does Mama Jeff really have an issue with No White Guilt, or is she just fooling around? She has an actual issue.
Is there a link to the actual video? I don't know why this guy didn't know how to upload something and make the volume appropriate. I still can't believe you guys complaining about volume when this shit is on the internet ever, but okay.
She has an actual issue.
He's muting here. She's upset.
Don't say anything violent.
No, I won't.
What do you have to say?
No, I get seriously. You tried to kill me, okay?
Okay.
And I'm fucking sick that you're fucking me with me. You always follow me everywhere. And
Alright.
And you say you want to make spiritual movement, but you fucking tried to kill me for 3 years, okay? You're fucking psychopath, man.
She seems very serious.
So the answer to the super chat is that Mama JF mistakes No White Guilt for someone who has committed acts of violence against her.
Wow.
So that's why you see her currently sad.
You said she had some kind of intellectual disability at one point, right? I believe she does. But I think JF, that was when our big debate a long time ago about him trying to chain fuck 19-year-olds. That was one of the things that JF said was he explicitly goes after people who have intellectual disabilities. That's why he tried to get that one girl to flee her family from Texas who got declared, there's a name for it, but the family got full autonomy or control of her because she was considered too intellectually disabled to live her own life, basically.
This is unbelievable. She's not acting, is she? This is real.
Mama JF has been the victim of an act of violence. It was not by No White Guilt at all. She is confused, and because she is confused, she associates No White Guilt with...
That is a genuinely distressed lady.
Okay, now I told her to not come back. You don't come back. So She has been the victim of acts of violence that were not performed by no white guilt at all. However, as it is the case with some people who are victims of acts of violence, they have difficulties associating who did that to them, and they sometimes unfairly reproach the act to a random person. The random person that the brain of Mama JF has identified in the world is no white guilt. For some reason, he showed his face on a stream, and she thought that he is the one who hurt her. It is not. However, it is very hard to explain to a victim of crimes that the association that they've done in their brain is not the right one. So that is the full story. Again, I apologize, no white guilt, but I think he's got used to it, and so at this point there's nothing
I could never get used to that.
other than explain the situation. All right.
Right,
so,
an uncomfortable silence, and it ends there, and no white guilt doesn't address it. Wow, that is the most
based. Can you still make him not being a wife killer? Nope. He did it. He did it. Who are these people? The psychological trauma caused by Iran's defensive retaliation will already last a generation among Israelis and is irreversible. The myth of Israeli security and invincibility has been shattered. There's no way to restore it. Israelis will never feel safe and secure again. Like, it's so crazy. You got to understand how pathetic it is to say that you're basically unloading, you know, a huge arsenal of missiles and stuff into a country, and you manage to land, what, like 2 or 3? Oh, this is Haas, our Haas, infra Haas. I didn't even see the at. Jesus.
Okay, we can begin. Okay. Now, what you see here is, at least in summer or in the fall, one of the nicest views of Ljubljana. It looks like Paris, green leaves, etc. On both sides, nice old houses, nothing special. But you are wrong. This river here is the official geographical limit between Balkan and Middle Europa. So beware. On the other side, horror, oriental despotism, women get beaten, get raped and like it. On this side, Europe, civilization, women get beaten and raped but don't like it. So, Balkan, Middle Europa, don't forget it.
Oh my God, dude.
Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Coleman.
Why Iran's nuclear program must be stopped. Okay, I'm good. Why people say beef tallow is... Do we care? I don't actually care about this. Never mind. Okay, what's the Piers one with our good friend Jank? Somebody said more stuff got dropped on the court docket, but I think it's our submissions, so... Are there good memes? Response and opposition to motion, which I think these are our responses to the motions to seal things, maybe? It looks like it's under seal, you have to pay for them. Paying for them doesn't mean they're under seal. If you can buy them, that means they're not under seal. Let me use the restroom. Hold on 1 second. This case is over. This will be hopefully my last manifesto ever. But when I do the manifesto, when I read through everything, I'm gonna take. Is there like a drug that makes you cry? I need to like watch the saddest movies of animals and cats dying. What's that one with the anime with the little girl that's dead at the end and the war shit or whatever? Oh, Grave of the Fireflies. Just because I feel like I deal with way too many really disgusting violations. Okay, I need to cry to show how serious and horrible these are. Sorry, hold on. I did some asking around just to see what was up. And I understand more now how some of this worked. So we're not spending too much time on this today. For those that haven't kept up, I can't show you the transcript or read from it directly, I think, because the opposition moved to seal the transcript immediately because they didn't want it to be publicly available, because stuff that you say under oath matters, and she would rather spam tweets and stuff about me where she can lie with impunity or just say random shit, I guess. One of the things that came out, a lot of things came out during the hearing we had, and one of the things that came out was she admitted that her and her lawyers had seen absolutely no evidence from the Abby person that I'd ever sent her any material relating to Pixie ever, which tracks with when I went back and I checked my DMs, like I've never sent this person anything of her ever. So I'm pretty sure she's just lying. But one thing I didn't even factor in or think of is she might not actually be lying in that way. Because I didn't know this at the time. I didn't figure this out, or I didn't learn of this until a few months ago. And now I've learned a little bit more. This person was the Abby MC, whoever that is. this person was at my house, and it is possible that they might have known about stuff on my computer, because when they were at my house, apparently when I was away from my computer, they were going through my shit. And now I've had people send me a few things, and I can see that that was in fact the case, that she was sending people pictures and stuff of like my desktop when I don't know where I was, or I don't even know what the fuck I was doing at the time, but apparently she was. So I don't know. I actually have no idea what she has or hasn't seen on my computer, or if she found a way to download this or send it to herself or some bullshit. Just in my mind, I wouldn't even factor that somebody would do anything. And then I missed this initially, but in her messages to Darius, I don't even want the money. What he's doing / has done seems fucked. I've seen all the drives and all the tapes. So this makes it sound like she just went through, I guess, all of my folders, and I don't know what she thinks she saw or what she did see or whatever, but this is, I understand, I guess, better now, I guess, where her testimony comes from, or how she could have sent any messages a long time ago. But so it's funny because this entire lawsuit is only kept alive because of this one person who I don't think I ever sent anything to, and who was probably on my computer without permission, like scrolling through or going through like anything that I had there. So that's pretty unhinged, pretty fucking insane. But if that's the case, she won't be able to provide proof of you sending it to her. She can't. The opposing counsel already admitted, not opposing counsel, Pixie already admitted under oath to the judge and my attorney that they had not seen any evidence whatsoever. They had never seen a DM or anything between me and Abby, that she wasn't able to provide anything of me sending her anything, which I don't think I have. I don't think I've ever done that in relation to this. So I think they know this is all bullshit, because you would think that when you're collecting affidavits, when you're collecting declarations of people trying to prove something, that you would ask them, you're sure this happened, right? Like, can you prove this? But I don't know if the goal is to just try to push it all the way to trial to try to humiliate me or something, so that they can keep like saying random stupid shit. Yeah, I have no idea. I don't even know what these are in response to. I don't even know if I care. I think these are just our responses to try to block the motions to seal stuff and everything. Nah, fuck, I don't feel like it's gonna be boring. You can go read it in your own time. I doubt there'll be anything juicy or anything in here. So she snooped on your computer, violating your privacy, looking at the stuff you have saved for personal reasons, and is making an assumption that all that stuff was not proper. That's been the assumption that every single person has basically ran with. It's been some of the justifications that, again, I don't know how I've like hooked up with people and done stuff for like the past decade, and it was only in the past year that I've had so many like insanely disgusting and unhinged women who have just decided that apparently I'm a rapist, or everything I've done is like non-consensual, who have just started dumping a ton of my not safe for work content online, which is why you have a bunch of people like Kelly or Driscoll or anything else who are now saying like, oh, like where's the proof that like this was considered, or where's the proof? It's like, why am I going to answer any questions relating to my personal life? Like, for a lot of the stuff that's been dumped, like nobody's even making any accusations here. This is just stuff that like these disgusting women have decided to dump online and are now like I'm sorry, fuck you, like off yourself in a video game, quit your video game. But how'd you know your PC password? Was it already unlocked? I doubt it was locked. I don't know when I left that person at my house alone. I don't know. It was a long time ago. It was like 2 years ago, so I'm not even sure. I don't remember. You know why you need Pacer? For those filings, but not for anything else. I don't know how Court Reporter works. Maybe they automatically pull some things if enough people click it or something. I'm not sure. You're an idiot for only reading her stuff and not yours. Why would you not read the counter arguments? Because one, I've probably already read it, because generally they send me motions and everything to sign off on before they send it to make sure there's nothing missing. And two, I'm the one giving them a lot of the information for, just like personal information for a lot of the motions and counter arguments. Like what? Okay. Why not go with the implied consent from the start of the drama? Let me think of. I think I already admitted as much under when we were doing the hearing. The 100%, the honest, valid truth, and if I get to ever read the testimony, Pixie yapped so much. It was, honestly, God, it was so helpful for me. The honest truth is, like, these are conversations that happened like over 5 years ago, right? I don't remember exactly the conversations that we had at the time. There's just no way I'm going to be able to honestly say, like, oh yeah, we said this and this and this and this, when there's no like text log of anything. There's no fucking way. But the way that she talked about it and the way that she explained it actually tracked really well for me. But it's hard to recount all of that without just reading it entirely. So hopefully one day the transcript becomes available. We'll see, I guess, when they finally roll it out. So what happens now with the court stuff? It's just the same as before, just waiting for summary judgment. Technically, discovery ends in December. So there's a question of, like, would we wait until December to file summary judgment? I doubt we'll wait that long, hopefully not. We could file for summary judgment after the first round of discovery, I guess, because they're not going to get anything from me. At this point, I don't even know what my obligations are to turn anything over, because to be honest, I don't trust them to turn anything honestly over. I don't trust Pixie. I fully believe that her and Lauren and anybody else that is like scheming with her would lie about what they turn over, and I don't think I would get everything. I actually have really good reasons to believe this that I can't reveal right now, but I will after the end of the trial. But yeah, I don't think they're going to turn over anything that would be relevant to me that I would be asking for anyway. So, so ideally, I guess if like nobody's really requesting anything else for discovery, and if nobody else is like subpoenaing anything, there's no other information coming out, then you basically can file for summary judgment, hopefully. But there's also there's also hopefully the chance. I think this is slimmer, but there's a chance that the magistrate judge dumps the whole case because of the lack of subject matter jurisdiction. But it's not technically his role, and that's not technically a question before him. But the subject matter jurisdiction question was coming up a lot in our last hearing, and now it's showing up in motion. So hopefully he makes some statement about that, basically. ETA trial ending. The trial date, I think, is set for May or March of next year if it goes all the way to trial, which is incredibly rare and probably still won't happen. But what do you think they'll try to request from me? It's just like logs and shit or whatever. But like the stuff they're looking for just doesn't exist is the problem. Like they want, like what they really want to desperately see is the idea that I'm like, they're praying for me having like sent, you know, her video or other stuff around to a bunch of people, but like it doesn't exist. They're praying for some kind of evidence to keep the case alive, because the case is basically, it has been like dead on arrival and then dead for quite a while, but yeah. But pretty annoying. Nice, spaced, true. Did Brett say you have a good chance of recuperating your lawyer costs? I don't know. We haven't really had that conversation yet. But who knows? I don't know how egregious their behavior has to be for that to become a thing, but hopefully. Are you nervous about if it goes to trial, the jury feeling sympathy for it? Not that much. It would just be just more lawyer costs and then more time. Jesus. 53-year-old billionaire Sanjay, or is it Sanjay Kapoor, has died after a bee stung him in the mouth during a polo match, triggering a heart attack. Have you seen how they are framing your opposition to the motion to order KF to take down the videos as you fighting to keep them up? Kelly was saying that last night, and representing the court order is also taking down your other vids, which I believe it explicitly wasn't asking. Kelly lies about almost everything. Kelly and Justical and them are like, remember, they talk about me almost every single day, and they constantly lie about basically everything having to do with this case. But the issue that I had with the court order is, one, it's the Kiwi Farms is not related to our case, so there's like almost no incentive for me to even let that court order go through. Because why are you trying to court order a non-party? Number one, and number two, they were asking me for lawyers' fees for their court order. And number three, they wouldn't agree to add all of my explicit content to that court order. They only wanted to take down videos of Pixie. They wouldn't even ask to take down videos of other women involved. Like, it was the most disgusting, like, morally bankrupt, unhinged, gross request I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. So, no, absolutely fuck no. Trump is going off. Somebody please explain to Kooky Tucker Carlson that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Good one. If the magistrate judge tosses the case for lack of jurisdiction or whatever, does that mean plaintiff can refile? Well, she couldn't refile on the federal claim, so she'd have to refile a state case, but all of their underlying state charges are retarded and unhinged. They like require malicious intent to humiliate or demean, and it's stupid.
This is the UK just signed a document. This is sorry about that. This is it. A very important document. Little windy out here. Give me that. We just signed it, and it's done. And so we have our trade agreement with the European Union, and it's a fair deal for both.
Okay, we got one. We have one trade deal signed. We do have one. It's confirmed. So is it with the UK or the European Union? Should the US or Israel just kill Khamenei if they can? The problem is when you start killing world leaders, it means everybody's starting to look to kill world leaders. And then you get into nobody, like, I don't think world leaders want to live in that world. Like, you're almost going into like a total war thing where now everything is a fair target. What is it? 726. Breaking. Who is this person? Israeli news says the US is attacking in Iran. Is this an anybody person? Co-founder of Boundless, former head of speech writing at Israeli mission to the UN. Fake news? I don't know who the fuck this person is. The UK deal signed has the first line, "This is not legally binding." Wait, what? No shot. UK-US deal. What even is the deal? Is there like third-party arbitration, or how do you settle disputes, or... It's not a deal? What? Dozens of warplanes are en route to the Middle East. Aren't these all going to Europe? Got them. Those are tankers. Trump and Starmer finalized the trade deal at G7. Aerospace, tariffs removed completely. Auto, tariffs are newly lowered 10%. Newly lowered 10% from end of month. Steel, no agreement yet. Tariffs at 25%. On future tariffs, Trump says UK will be protected because I like them. So is it not a trade deal? Is it just like a couple statements on tariffs? Or is that all this is? The fuck? Is that... Yes.
These are inferior. Asmond really defended U.S. nuking Iran and killing people. I can't really believe it. Why can't you believe it? It's the most believable thing. By the way, if I were to say that same thing about Tel Aviv, which I would never say for the record, and we ban people for saying that all the time, I would get banned instantly. But I have unironically used this as an example of like the double standard. Someone can say they want to nuke Tehran and kill everyone in it and not receive any penalties whatsoever. It's not even a remote violation of terms of service, even though there's...
It's so crazy that... This is intentional, by the way. And maybe Asmongold did say this. That honestly wouldn't surprise me because Asmongold says retarded shit all the time. But like Hassan is so scared of watching any clip from anybody else because he has to like make them look as crazy as possible to his audience. Even for somebody like Asmongold who is crazy. Does Hassan even watch Asmongold's original content on his stream to critique it, or is it always just a chatter said this and then he talks about it? Like it's so.
There's fucking Iranians living in Tehran right now on this platform that are streamers.
Like, how can, like, why even make all these statements? Like, I always say this to chat. It's like, are you baiting me? Show me the clip. Let me see the clip. Hold on. Show me what he said exactly.
Okay. But if someone were to say the exact same about, if someone were to say the exact same thing about fucking Tel Aviv, you know, you would get banned. Ironically enough, Iran does not have nukes. And Israel does have nukes. Now, I don't know how he defended the principle of you know, using nuclear weapons on Tehran. I doubt that he's openly stated it. Like, I doubt that he said it as is. Like, when he had the clarity, like the full-blown clarity of saying that Palestinians are an inferior culture that deserve to be genocided. When he said that, he got banned for it. So I think he knows better than to say something like that openly.
Did Asman even say that? I'm curious if Asman said we should nuke Tehran. I don't know, but okay.